Has the narrative changed for Boise State after not playing at all last week? Well, that's actually what I want to dig into in this final segment here on the Pac-12 Daily. Again, hit that subscribe button. We are gaining new members every single day, talking about the new Pac-12 that's going to be here in July of 2026. I'm just not waiting around. I want to discuss it today, tomorrow, every single day until we get to that moment, and then beyond as well. We're going to be here and then be hopefully the one listen you watch for Pac-12 conversations. But after losing to South Florida at the beginning of the season, we thought maybe already the college football playoff opportunity for Boise State might be out the window. Then they have a nice statement win against FCS Eastern Washington, 51-14, and they take a week off. While they were sitting and recovering and probably watching college football, Notre Dame moves to 0-2 on the season. And although they still might be ranked at the moment, ranked 24th in the country, according to the AP, which I disagree with completely. If you're 0-2, you should not be ranked. That's for a different conversation. But after that, you look at the rest of Boise State's schedule, and you think there is still truly a strong possibility that although they've lost to South Florida, that they can still find a way to go to 11-1. Notre Dame is easily a beatable team this year for Boise State if they can get back on the wagon, something like they did against Eastern Washington, but of course against a team that was in the national championship last season. They did lose this game to Texas A&M. Notre Dame did on a last-minute play. It was an offensive touchdown by Texas A&M to give them the win 41-40. So it's not like Notre Dame is a terrible team. They're just not the same team they were last year. Boise State can totally capitalize on that and find themselves hopefully 11-1, get themselves back in the conversation, winning their conference and getting back in the college football playoffs for the second year in a row as that G5 participant, as the one being for the G5 champion, if you will. They got Air Force first on the road this weekend to take care of. That one's going to be at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Central on CBS Sports Network. You can check that game out. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think this is a true test for Boise State to show if they can be more like the game against Eastern Washington or more like, are they going to be more like South Florida's game, which of course you don't want to see. Air Force showed some life against Utah State last week. They wound up losing that game, but they showed some life. And that alone, I think, needs to show that Boise State, this is a perfect moment for Boise State to make a statement win. Matson has to be electric. Maddox Matson has to be electric. The junior quarterback has to make sure he has no bonehead mistakes. He has to be able to throw the football. He has to do what he didn't do against South Florida. And because South Florida, he wasn't the best. And although his numbers might look decent, and they're not really decent, but although they looked okay, it's got to be good. Against South Florida, he was 25 for 46, threw the football way too many times, but they had to, being down 34-7, and 225 yards, 54% on that completion, only threw one touchdown. You know, the ratings might look good, but if you watch the football game, he just wasn't exactly what you needed to win that football game. Had a lot of mistakes throwing the football, some underthrows, overthrows. He's got to be accurate. He's got to make sure he moves that Boise State offense, because when there's no Ashton Genty here, although the running backs are good, and we'll talk about in just a second, but with no Ashton Genty, Maddox is the one that's going to move this offense. It goes through him. It goes back to the old traditional style of the quarterback moving the offense, and there's no doubt about it in my mind. Against Eastern Washington, he only went 16 for 26, but went for 307 and had 61% completions, threw 2 touchdowns, averaged almost 12 yards of completion. That is where he needs to live. He needs to take that from FCS Eastern Washington, and he needs to perform against Air Force. I think that's a perfect opportunity. Again, another stepping stone in the confidence of Boise State, a perfect time to do so this Saturday. When you look at the running game, it's got to continue to go through Sire Gaines. It's got to continue to go through guys like Dylan Riley as well, who stepped up in some of these games. Sherrod. There's a lot of really good pieces of this running back room. Boise State and Fresno State, I think we're going to start having a conversation on who's one of the best running back rooms in the new Pac-12, and those two are definitely the front runners in my mind. Sierra Gaines has 23 carries for 142 yards, and Riley has 143 yards on 13 carries. Both of them averaging at least 6 yards per carry. Riley averaging 11 yards per carry after having that 77-yard rush just last week against Eastern Washington. A lot of excitement for this Boise State offense. Can they step up and win against Air Force? That's going to be a big question. I think they take care of business. I think they make a statement. And hopefully they're not looking too farther into the Notre Dame game, because I think it'd be really easy to overlook a team like Air Force. I think it'd be really easy to overlook other teams like Appalachian State. They have to play next week before they get to that October 4th matchup in Notre Dame on Peacock, a national televised game to prove that they are still a team that needs to be reckoned with after that loss against South Florida at the beginning of the season. They can't overlook it. Although Notre Dame's 0-2 and they're staring right in the face, they're probably salivating at the fact they want to get to Notre Dame and make sure before they get right. There might be a perfect opportunity, perfect time to take on Notre Dame, because they might not be ready. The adjustments might not be there yet. Maybe you want to even play them next week, but you can't. That's not how the schedule works. October 4th is obviously the matchup to make sure you can get yourself back into the college football playoff conversation. But you got 2 games to worry about first. You got to be in 3-1 heading into that Notre Dame game. If you're anything less, then that game doesn't matter regardless, if you want to get to the college football playoffs. Lots of exciting stuff happening in the Pac-12 this week. We got a lot more to cover on the channel. We're going to get to that tomorrow. We're going to talk the Apple Cup. A lot of good fun things to talk about in the Apple Cup. San Diego State. Should we be talking about potentially another hot seat alert already in San Diego? Like, is that something that needs to be discussed? And I think we're going to talk a little Utah State, because Utah State has been buzzing. We got a lot more to talk about here to get into the weekend. We're going to do that. So hit that subscribe button. Be sure to join the conversation here, and we'll see you back next time right here on the Pac-12 Daily Podcast.